Kirby series has been a staple of the Nintendo catalogue for the past 30 years, but if I'm being honest, it's never been my favourite Nintendo franchise. That's not to say that I hate Kirby by any means. In fact, there are a couple of Kirby games like Kirby's Epic Yarn and Planet Robobot that I've actually enjoyed quite a bit. It's just to say that I've never truly loved a Kirby game, and I've always found the series to pale in comparison to Nintendo's heavy hitters like the Mario and Zelda franchises. While other series like Mario strike a perfect balance between accessibility and challenge, making them favourites for players of all ages, I've always found the Kirby games to be easy to the point of being mindless, and felt like they're skewed almost exclusively towards a very young audience. So while I thought Kirby and the Forgotten Land looked great in the lead up to release, I was very much keeping my expectations in check, and thought I'd more than likely walk away from it thinking it was just another decent Kirby game. Turns out, I was dead wrong. Kirby and the Forgotten Land embodies all of the Nintendo creativity and magic that's given their franchises such longevity. Within a couple of hours, Kirby and the Forgotten Land had blown all my expectations out of the water, and I became completely engrossed by the charm and whimsy of its world. And by the time I rolled credits, I realised that Kirby and the Forgotten Land is not just a wonderful platformer, but one of the Nintendo Switch's very best games. Kirby and the Forgotten Land marks a big change for the Kirby series, as it sees the series ditching its side-scrolling roots for fully 3D exploration for the first time ever. This is exactly the reinvention I needed the Kirby franchise to get for it to feel new and exciting again. From its world design to its mechanics, just about everything in Kirby and the Forgotten Land is strange, and I mean that as a compliment. Kirby and the Forgotten Land begins with Kirby leisurely hanging out in Dreamland before a vortex opens up and pulls him into a new, unfamiliar universe. Kirby then wakes up on a beach in a scene that feels very reminiscent of the first Crash Bandicoot game, before venturing through the shrubbery to find he's in some borderline post-apocalyptic setting that nature has reclaimed. I never thought I'd be exploring a desolate, abandoned shopping mall in a Kirby game, but here we are. And hey, I'm all for it. I love that the Kirby series pivoted in such an unexpected direction. These unusual settings were something that had me intrigued in the lead up to release, and the full game absolutely delivers on the strangeness promised by the trailers. But Kirby and the Forgotten Land isn't just weird for the sake of being weird. Its meticulously designed levels are filled with well-hidden secrets and fun little challenges to complete, and the Forgotten Land's incredible art direction lends the game a sense of wonder that I haven't gotten out of a Nintendo game since Super Mario Odyssey. The unusual locations don't stop at the shopping mall though. There's metro stations, the ruins of a town left submerged underwater, and even an abandoned theme park. Seeing Kirby explore locations that feel like they belong in our world is so bizarre yet oddly funny, and it's a huge part of why I love the Forgotten Land. Though if you are a fan of classic Kirby, there are still a handful of areas that would feel right at home in a more traditional Kirby game, like the tropical beach that you come across very early in the Forgotten Land. And it's this huge degree of variety to the levels that makes every new location an absolute joy to explore. Of course, the core mechanic of the Kirby series has always been Kirby's ability to suck up enemies and absorb their powers, so naturally it still plays a huge part in the gameplay here. Kirby can use over a dozen copy abilities in the Forgotten Land. These abilities allow Kirby to wield enemy weapons like swords, boomerangs, bombs and guns, or inherit their powers, giving him the ability to breathe fire or ice, or turn his whole body into a tornado so he can blast through everything in his path. While many of these powers can be applied to just about any situation the game throws at you, there are times where you'll want a specific power-up to get through a level, whether it's the sword to cut through some vines, or the ranger ability so you can use flintlock pistols to shoot some out-of-reach targets. The Ranger class honestly might be my favourite power-up in the game, just because of how absurd it is to see Kirby dual-wielding guns. By finding blueprints throughout the game, you'll be able to upgrade Kirby's copy abilities to make them more powerful. For example, the drill can be turned into the twin drill, which gives it a lot more attack power, or Kirby's needle ability can be upgraded to the clutter needle, which covers the outside of Kirby in all kinds of junk, giving the attack significantly more range. All the abilities can also be upgraded multiple times. For instance, the fire ability becomes volcano fire once upgraded, but you can upgrade it a second time to turn it into dragon fire. And once you upgrade copy abilities to their later forms, they can become ridiculously overpowered, which makes it easy to tear through stages in the post game when you're going back to pick up everything you missed on your first time through a level. And I particularly love the way Kirby starts to look like a Monster Hunter cosplayer after you upgrade his sword ability a couple of times. Outside of the core mechanics that have remained fairly consistent throughout the vast majority of Kirby games, the series has also had a long history of games featuring strange gimmicks. From drawing a path to guide Kirby on the Wii U and DS touchscreens, to piloting a giant mech suit in Kirby Planet Robobot. And in Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the new gimmick is tied directly to Kirby's core ability of inhaling everything in sight, and it takes the form of mouthful mode. Mouthful mode allows Kirby to absorb dozens of different inanimate objects across the environment to change the shape and proportions of his body to gain new skills that let him interact with the environment in different ways. There's a huge amount of mouthful mode transformations, and they're as fun to use as they are ridiculous. The list of things Kirby can absorb gets pretty outlandish quickly. Kirby can transform himself into a car, or Kirby if you will. In this form, Kirby can speed through obstacle courses and plough through walls that block his way. He can suck in a vending machine and rapidly blast enemies with soda cans, absorb a traffic cone, then slam himself into the ground to smash through weak areas of the floor, inhale a staircase and place it where he needs it so he can reach higher floors of a building. Inhaling a hoop turns Kirby into his ring mouth form, which allows him to spit gusts of air to turn windmill blades and raise platforms, or turn his entire body into a boat sail. He can eat a fence to turn himself into a giant glider capable of flying along air currents, or he can even consume a light bulb and turn himself into a giant globe, illuminating dark areas that you can't normally see in. All these transformations keep levels exciting and make the gameplay of the Forgotten Land feel significantly more varied than any prior Kirby game. I also love that Kirby retains whatever copy ability he had before entering mouthful mode, so if you're playing as Kirby in his sword form and you absorb a car, you'll be a car driving around with a little green cap on it. It's this kind of attention to detail that gives Kirby and the Forgotten Land that unmistakable feeling of Nintendo first-party polish. Kirby's ultimate goal in the Forgotten Land is to rescue his Waddle Dee friends, who he learns have been abducted from Dreamland by the inhabitants of this strange world he's found himself transported to. Rescuing Waddle Dees isn't just a means to an end to achieve 100% completion though, as this time around Kirby has a hub town called Waddle Dee Town that he can visit between levels to shop, play various minigames, and view collectibles. And the more Waddle Dees Kirby rescues, the more facilities open up in town for Kirby to use. There are various ways to get more Waddle Dees in the Forgotten Land, from progressing through the story, to finding them hidden in levels, to completing the various optional challenges every stage has to offer. Your first time through a level, you'll have to figure out these miscellaneous challenges for yourself, but once you've completed it, you'll be given a list of optional tasks hidden in the level, so you're not just blindly stumbling through a level trying to figure out what to do on repeat playthroughs. Like prior Kirby games, the Forgotten Land is a very breezy experience that's designed to be accessible for players of any skill level. There's nothing here to punish you for dying, as there's no lives, so you're never going to fail and get a game over. If you die, you'll just lose a few coins and be right back in the game. The lack of challenge has been to the series' detriment in the past, but thankfully Kirby and the Forgotten Land strikes a much better balance between accessibility and challenge than prior Kirby games. In classic Nintendo fashion, beating each of the main levels is fairly easy, but the challenge comes when you try to complete and collect everything required to 100% the game. This is the formula that the Mario games have followed for decades, and it's great to finally see the Kirby series embrace this design philosophy. A big reason the Forgotten Land is able to add a little more challenge is thanks to its new Treasure Road stages. Treasure Road levels are bite-sized challenges that you have to complete within a time limit, and you'll be graded based on how quickly you get through the stage. These levels are awesome. They're usually obstacle courses that showcase one of Kirby's copy abilities, and getting through them within the time limit required to get a gold medal can be surprisingly difficult. I also really like the way these missions teach you how to most efficiently use Kirby's different copy abilities. I never thought I'd say that one of the highlights of a Kirby game is its hub town, but that's definitely true of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. As you progress through the story, you'll see Waddle Dee Town go from total ruins to a vibrant and robust town full of things to see and do. You can visit the weapon shop to upgrade and equip Kirby's various abilities, so you can always start a level with your favourite copy ability, or hit up the cinema to rewatch cutscenes. You can even visit Kirby's house to rest up and refill Kirby's health, or check out the book on Kirby's coffee table to learn about prior Kirby games. But the main draw of Waddle Dee Town is the various mini-games you can play to earn some extra cash. You can pay a visit to the town's cafe to buy some food to refill Kirby's health, or play a mini-game where you serve customers, giving them the food and drinks they order as fast as possible, because the more customers you serve, the more cash you'll rack up. There's a fishing spot where you can catch fish for money, with Kirby's chances of catching a bigger and more valuable fish increasing with each fish he reels in back to back. And then there's the minigame that sees you tilting your controller to roll Kirby through a maze into the hole at the end without slipping into any gaps or falling off the side on the way. But the most exciting location in Waddle Dee Town is arguably the Colosseum, where you can play through various boss rushes, and by making it to the end of a boss rush, you'll not only earn more money, but you might also get to square off against a familiar face from the Kirby series. So what can you do with all this extra cash you're racking up from the mini-games and the Colosseum? You can blow it all on collectible figurines at the town's various gacha machines. These figures are such a cool inclusion. There's hundreds of different figurines depicting Kirby and his allies and enemies, as well as different objects and locations from the Forgotten Land. I always appreciate a good collectible, and these figures are some of the coolest collectibles I've seen in a game this year. Though maybe I just love them because of how much they remind me of Smash Bros. Melee. Even though I haven't traditionally been the biggest fan of the Kirby series, one thing I've always admired about the franchise is its music. I truly think that the Kirby games feature some of the best soundtracks in Nintendo's entire catalogue, which is really saying something when we're talking about a catalogue full of Mario, Zelda, and Smash Bros. Games. And the Kirby theme itself is one of the best theme songs in all of gaming, so I guess it should come as no surprise that the music in the Forgotten Land is superb. The score has a playfulness to it that perfectly suits the whimsical nature of the Forgotten Land, and the opening theme with lyrics rivals Super Mario Odyssey's Jump Up Superstar. The Forgotten Land's stunning art direction easily makes it one of the best looking Switch games. Its juxtaposition of often desolate feeling settings with a bright vibrant colour palette is something we rarely see, and the character models look like they're ripped straight from a cartoon. The cutscenes are also absolutely stunning. They feel like animated short films in the vein of Pixar's shorts. In fact, they're so gorgeous that it's almost a little jarring when the game transitions back to gameplay, despite the fact that the Forgotten Land's gameplay still looks very good itself. While Kirby in the Forgotten Land performs well, and I never had any major technical issues, it is yet another game that makes the Switch's hardware limitations abundantly clear. The Forgotten Land has the same issue that many other recent Switch games have had, with enemies in the distance moving at a very jittery low frame rate. This was an issue in Pokemon Legends Arceus, as well as Monster Hunter Rise, so it seems to just be a recurring problem as the Switch starts to show its age. At the beginning of this review, I said that I'd never truly loved a Kirby game. After playing through the Forgotten Land, that's no longer the case. This is the first time I've played through a Kirby game, and known that it'll be a game I revisit in the years to come. The Forgotten Land's world design provides a sense of wonder that's usually reserved for the Mario and Zelda games, and the introduction of mouthful mode gives the game a degree of variety that other Kirby games often lacked. In my eyes, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is without a shadow of a doubt the best Kirby game, and one of the Switch's most exceptional games. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, or leave a comment. You can find countless other reviews on my channel, including my recent reviews of Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and Ghostwire Tokyo. And be sure to stay tuned for my upcoming reviews of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Stray, and Live Alive.